Most, if not all, of the red flags that you will ever see in a romantic partner can be traced back to its point of origin, which is that of childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is something I've touched upon in previous videos throughout this year, but I've never really given a detailed, concrete explanation. So this is what I'm about to cover in this video. I'm going to break down where childhood trauma comes from, how it happens, yet more importantly, why unresolved childhood trauma is so dangerous. And the information I'm about to share with you, that I'm going to read, comes right from my book. So I'm going to share a little sneak peek with all of you, because in my book there is one area where I discuss childhood trauma, and that is what I'm going to share with you all today. To wrap up the year, I figured it's only fitting that I give you all something like this. So with that said, let's get right into it. Childhood is a place of innocence, joy, curiosity, and wonder. It is a time of security, feeling loved and protected by your parents. I was very fortunate to have grown up in a happy home with both my parents and my brother. This allowed me to develop social skills, generate confidence, create boundaries, and form healthy relationships. However, the reality of many young men and women today is not so ideal. Childhood trauma is often described as serious adverse childhood experiences. Children may go through a range of experiences that classify as psychological trauma, such as neglect, abandonment, emotional abuse, physical abuse, witnessing a sibling or parent going through abuse, having a mentally ill parent, witnessing the divorce of parents, witnessing a traumatic accident, witnessing a natural disaster or war, having a severe illness that requires hospitalization, sexual abuse, and even intense bullying. As adults, we often struggle to process life events. Now imagine how hard that would be for a child that lacks introspection, life experience, education, and social skills. Oftentimes, they blame themselves, and their self-esteem takes a huge hit. Once a child has their sense of safety disrupted by a parent or someone close to them, it can condition the way they view relationships, friendships, and social interactions. They may begin to view caregivers and loved ones through a different lens, such as unable to trust them or even care about them. If this happens to a child, whether they be a girl or a boy, their very identity will be fractured, and it takes years of work to rebuild those broken pieces and have them regain trust in others and themselves. As you can see, unresolved childhood trauma leads to serious issues. It is heartbreaking and unfair, yet you must be cautious to date women who have and who suffer from unresolved childhood trauma. The consequences can be detrimental to one's outlook on life, interpersonal relationships, and overall happiness. The effects of childhood trauma are many, and they are nuanced depending on the trauma and the child themselves. If a child grows up in a home that does not provide a sense of security and protection, they may resort to their own coping mechanism to function and survive. They may live on eggshells due to a parent lashing out, which can result in a sensitivity to the moods and emotions of others, becoming fearful of others and of their reactions, which causes these children to withhold their own emotions, masking their anger, sadness, and fear. There is a strong link between unresolved childhood trauma and engaging in high-risk behavior, such as infidelity, drugs and alcohol abuse, partaking in casual sex, and other forms of reckless behavior. Childhood trauma is also responsible for anxiety, stress, and other emotional problems that develop later in adulthood. Not everyone comes from a happy home. There are plenty of screwed up families out there. The likelihood of somebody that came from a broken home being a good relationship candidate is a lot lower than somebody who came from a healthy family. But even those who come from stable families can be terrible girlfriends or wives due to their own lack of self-awareness, bad influence by friends, making terrible life choices, or having a negative worldview and belief system. The key here is to be mindful of this and understand that even though your family background and your past does not equate your future, it sure has a big influence on it. And when it comes to relationships and growth, most people do not put in the work to improve themselves. Let's say you meet a girl and she mentions that she had it tough growing up, but she has gone to therapy. She found help at a church and overall has taken steps in an effort to heal her inner child. Well, then you can rest assured that this is a green flag and she's safe to date, since she has enough self-awareness and discipline to overcome her childhood trauma. Whereas girls who have not yet healed from a dysfunctional upbringing are far more likely to struggle to build a healthy emotional bond with you, communicate effectively, or lead stable marital lives. Girls with unresolved childhood trauma may become codependent, partake in casual sex, become engaged in drug, alcohol abuse, and a whole plethora of other self-destructive coping mechanisms, have anger issues, struggle with emotional outbursts, may be more prone to cheat, lie, and flee from accountability. Keep in mind that some girls grow up in a healthy home, yet they are led astray by their own lust, insecurities, or immaturity. On the flip side, there are women who, despite having a terrible childhood, put in the time and effort to overcome their misfortune and develop into feminine women of good character. Be patient when choosing a woman. Unless you see by her life choices that she has overcome her problems, done the work on herself, or is in the process of healing from her trauma, then you are better off walking away and seeking a woman who either came from a healthy family background or at the very least put the time and effort to heal her inner child and bring forth her femininity. So that's something small on childhood trauma. Now, before you even look at another woman, men, take a look at your own life. You must be able to address yourself honestly. Do you have any unresolved issues or problems from your childhood that you've carried into your adulthood? Because if there's any wounds that are left unhealed, that pain can stay bottled inside and it will come forth in ways that will only harm you even more. And there's no shame in admitting that. If you need help or there's some area of your life that needs more work put in, or a little bit of love or acceptance, you need to fix that and get it sorted. Because if not, you will just be needy. You will never be able to trust in others, let alone trust in yourself. You will become scared and fearful of commitment. you will never know how to lead a woman, or let alone choose a quality woman. While there are many women out there that suffer from such issues that I've been mentioning throughout this video, many men have it too. And a relationship is made up of two people, right? The man and the woman. Now, not only do you want to make sure she's a quality girl, right? She's feminine, she's virtuous, she's emotionally stable. What about you? Because you have to be in order as well, or else it's not going to work. And when we look at the world today, look how many children are growing up without a strong father at home. I mean, the stats are quite clear. Most men that are in prison for violent crime grew up fatherless. Most women that have kids out of wedlock or have children when they're teenagers didn't have a father they were present with, or a good father. A mother plays a role as well, but the father is the head of the house. And if you do not receive that guidance, that discipline, you have an entire generation of men and women that are out of control. They live for lust and pleasure. They don't know how to address their problems or their pain. And they make it worse for themselves. They dig an even bigger hole. And then you have this generational trauma passed down. And I predict the way things are going in today's world, especially in the West, with all of this godlessness and degeneracy, in the next 10, 20 to 30 years, I believe there will be an increase of suicide, there will be an increase of divorce, of abusive relationships, of dysfunctional relationships. There's going to be less trust amongst people, and there will be more division between men and women. The only cure is to go back to traditional family values, to return, relearn, reapply those values that our parents, that our grandparents and great-grandparents and so forth lived by, and implement them into our own lives. And you can start by getting yourself right, and then choosing a good woman who also made sure she got herself right. Then you come together and you have a family. Because instead, what we have in today's world is you've got screwed up men and women coming together, and they create more screwed up people. Even if you are masculine and you're emotionally stable and you get involved with a damaged woman, those pieces don't fit. Whether two people are damaged or one person's damaged, it's not going to work. A relationship is made up of a man and a woman. Both of them have to be working properly. It really is that simple. Okay, so you need to address anything emotionally from your childhood. Be patient. Take the time to set that straight. Because relationships are essential. They are probably the biggest area of our lives. We are human beings. We are social creatures. We need each other. I mean, that's just humanity. And your relationships should add so much joy and value to your life. There should be a refuge. There should be a place that brings you peace and happiness, where you rely on one another. If you're not getting that, you're going to be miserable, because that pain is going to seep into every other area of your life. And then you got one foot in the grave. And then you become bitter. And that's not the way you should be. So take your relationship seriously. And with childhood trauma, take it even more seriously. And remember, it's not your fault if you grew up in a dysfunctional home, but it is your fault if a dysfunctional home comes from you. Okay? Learn from the mistakes that your parents made, because I can assure you, even if they were messed up, they did the best they could with what they knew. But you should learn from that and from everyone else in your life, and not only your own experiences. Pull all the pieces together, find out what is objectively true, then apply that. Because I have it very clear what I would like for my future. I always ask myself, what type of man do I want to be? And I'll tell you, I would like to be the type of man that my future son or sons would be inspired by. I would like to be the type of man that my future daughter would aspire to be with and marry one day. I would like to be the type of man that my future wife will love and respect and feel protected by. Because as the man, guys, we are the head of the house. It starts with us. We build the families, we build the legacy. It starts with us. So men need to be on double time, putting even more effort in to be stoic and honorable and righteous. It's in your hands. Okay, so I wanted to do a little short video today on childhood trauma, and I hope this has added some type of value to your life. And with that said, the year's closing up, so the next video will be in the next week, which will be in January. So I would just like to end this with thank you once again for all of the love and support you have all shown me throughout this year. It means the world to me. And I look forward to being of service to all of you in the upcoming year and to give you my best self to put out more content and make the announcement on the book as well. For anybody who would like to reach out to me privately, whether it's to book a coaching call, to share a story, something they've been through, request a video topic, the email is down in the description. I get back to everybody eventually. And with that said, I pray that you all have a wonderful time, and I want to wish you all Happy New Year's. I'll see you guys next week in the next video. Stay safe. God bless all of you and your families.